Good morning and welcome to another sunny but slightly wet Friday morning. It's Shay Rob. Just have a quick sip. Thank you for joining me and thank you for liking and subscribing. And if you haven't, please do both right now and feel free to share my website and Instagram and obviously this YouTube channel to as many different people as you can. Keep spreading the drumming love. So I'm starting today with, I've had some questions from people saying, are you still taking on drum lessons and students? The answer is yes. I am still mentoring, I'm still drum teaching, both face-to-face and online. And I do the mentoring and some of the pad work from here, from home, and the kit work I can do on advanced techniques and other things at the studio, Noam Studios. And I can do that online and face-to-face. So yes, I am still taking on students. I actually sort of whittled it down sometime last year, but I am sort of taking some on again now. So please contact me if you're interested. Here are the details somewhere and give me a shout. Or if you want to, get in touch for some mentoring, I can do some mentoring sessions for you, talking about, life in the industry, and you can tell me where you are at the moment and where you'd like to go and how I can help you with that. Or if you have, any issues with your drumming and your place in rock and roll or jazz or wherever, and you're starting to doubt yourself a little bit, then just get in touch. So that's the first thing. So yes, by all means, keep sending those requests. I've had 3 more this week, so that's great. Thank you. Keep them coming. I could probably take on another 12 or so. So what are you waiting for? Okay, the other thing I wanted to share with you today is a little clip. I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that I was at Real World Studios in Box, which is Peter Gabriels' gaff, recording with a band called Littlemen, who I've been with a long time, run by the mighty Nick Allen, who's the main singer-songwriter. And then various sort of friends of ours and session musicians come in and record and play and gig when we gig occasionally. And we've just been working on this new album. But earlier this week I was in the studio working on a song called Photos. And I'm just gonna play a little clip for you now. Because obviously, as I say, I'm the drummer, but I'm also producing this album. So have a little listen to this clip. There's no vocals on this to give anything away. There's a slight female vocal on there from Joe Nye, who's amazing. But we're gonna save the rest of it for when the song comes out. But here's a little snippet. So there's a wee little snippet of the song Photos, and they'll be in a frame or in an album in brackets next to that eventually. We're still working on that. It's early days for sorting out the title. But I put a little snippet, maybe less than that, on YouTube Shorts the other day, and also on my Insta. And I've had loads of people writing about it, which is great. And one of my good friends, Tom Dalgetty, who's an amazing producer. He's worked for Royal Blood and Killing Joke and many people, a real legend now. wrote and said that he really liked it and it reminded him of Talk, which is great, because if you think back to some of these videos I've done talking about referencing bands and different artists and how that reflects on my drumming and my music making and my producing, this is kind of a classic example. So having heard that clip, you could maybe go back to Talk's 1986 amazing album called Colour of Spring and listen to some of the sounds on that record, and a little bit, I guess, from The Spirit of Eden as well, which came after it, but they were getting a little bit more abstract, which I love, and I love Laughingstock as well. But you'll see maybe some of the sounds and the colours musically and tonally I got for this song, and the referencing I was using kind of came from that world, and originally started with a Cure song called Lullaby, and also The Head on the Door, which is my favourite, I think, Cure album, because I remember growing up with that. I was 15, 16 when it came out, and that became my Cure, if you like. That was my period of time when I was referencing the drum sounds and the drum fills that Boris was playing and all that kind of stuff, and the riffs and stuff. You know, there's so many great tracks on that record that it's just deep set. So when it came to hearing this song, I put the drums down, which are live drums, the DWs, with some Linn drums in there as well, triggering with snare and the bass drum. And the toms are my own as well, even though the DWs, even though they sound electronic, they're not. I think probably a 10 and a 12 or 12 and 14 maybe on that session. I don't remember. And once that was put in there, and Nick had the rough demo which I was playing to, and we took the demo drums off that, which was basically just something from GarageBand or something, you know. Then we put that on there, and then I listened to the spacings of where the verse is, because there's never a chorus, it just kind of goes from verse to verse, and it's one of those songs that really I thought, because there was no sort of big moment, it needed to flow in a way where the sounds were and the dynamics of it, when the sounds came in and so on, that was what was going to make it interesting, rather than, oh, here's a key change, or here we're going to go over to this, you know, funky bridge, or we're going to go into this guitar solo or keyboard solo. So, you know, we had to look at the landscape and sort of start to chip away at it in a slightly different style. And then once we put the drums down on top of that demo, I thought of this little riff that came in, which I really heard on trumpets or on horns, which wasn't really a Cure thing, but at that point the Cure was just in the back of my mind. It wasn't really up front yet. And Tyler Spicer, who's an amazing producer and multi-instrumentalist who can also play trumpet, laid down 2 or 3 trumpet parts, which we put on with the synth brass that I put on, and all of a sudden that became a thing, and it sounded live and you know, like a real trumpet, but with the sample underneath it, it gave it a harder edge. And then I thought, then I started to think of that new wave, Cure type, Devo, Prince, Talking Heads, that kind of world. Excuse me. And all of a sudden I thought, what would be great on that would be like a slap bass, because that's kind of funky, and the trumpet line isn't funky, but it's got that thing going. So I just thought this is going to be great. So Tyler then played this slap bass part, which seemed like it shouldn't really work on this kind of song, but it did. And then we put the guitar, I think it was Guy Rogers, he put the guitar down, and he put it down with like a chorus and a phase on it or whatever. So it's really sounds like the Cure, real sort of 80s kind of vibe. So we put that down, and then all of a sudden that threw it again into a different space. So, you know, we're not going down the funk route, even though the brass and the slap bass might say that, but the drums are still sounding mechanical but live. So that's in that sort of Princey world that I love, right? Going straight down the middle, just driving the song on. And then this guitar kind of puts it into this slightly gothy Cure world, which kind of like makes it all sort of start whirling around a little bit. Then we put a mellotron, because I put a mellotron on the original demo, you know, from my Beatles and Moody Blues and, you know, that sort of late 60s psychedelic trip. So you throw that in the mix, and all of a sudden you're giving it a different spin again. You know, though all the stuff I was using, you could say it's kind of cliche, but the way it was piecing together in this patchwork quilt didn't seem cliche to me, and it didn't sound like anything that particularly that I'd heard before. Mark Jones came in and played beautiful piano on the track, and that really set it into a different space. Then we asked him. Then I asked him to put a Hammond organ on the top. Now this was definitely referencing the sort of Hammond sounds that you're hearing, not only from John Lord and Deep Purple, because obviously I love that and I've spoken about them before on clips, but from that 1986 Colour of Spring Talk Talk album. The way Mark Hollis was using the Hammond in there to really almost bringing in it as a statement where maybe back in the day it would have been, you know, violins and cellos coming in at that moment for that bit of drama. But there's something about the Hammond and the Leslie speaker, you know, and they start pulling those drawbars out and getting that whirring sound. It's just, you know, it's crazy, you know. It just makes you sort of go, whoa, unbelievable, you know. So we put that into the mix, and then it started to sound really, 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 really cool, really getting into it. And then we've got Nick's vocal, which obviously we're not going to put on just yet for you guys to hear. That'll go on later. We're still crafting that a little bit. So all that goes on there, and then we put Joe Nye's voice on there, and that kind of, with the breakdown section, that throws it off into, like, I don't know, I was thinking like Happy Mondays kind of, you know, Pills, Thrills and Bellyaches kind of thing, you know. And then it sort of spins back. I mean, you've only heard a very small snippet of it, you know, there's other things that happens each end of what you've heard. You just heard like a little middle breakdown section, and not all of the instrumentation was in it. And of course there's me playing Glock and xylophone on it as well, doing my little pingy pongy bits. I think I got up to grade 3 or something with tune percussion to be able to teach it to younger students years ago in the schools. I'm no master at it, as you can tell, but I can hear through referencing and lots of music listening where these things can sometimes go in just to add little bits of sparkle, you know, and how the sound of the marimba or xylophone, you know, the sort of timbre of it can sit really nicely with certain instrumentation. You know, if you ask me in a cold light of day, like what, I couldn't always tell you until I hear it. And then I hear it and I'll be sat there thinking, I need a woody tone, you know, I need that woody sound to come in at this point to really make this bit stand out. You know, the mallet hitting the note, hitting the wood is going to be enough. Obviously the note's important, obviously, but that sound as well just adds a certain nuance to something. And that's what I love about music, you know. I mean, yes, we all study and become masters of techniques, you know, that's what we're striving for. But sometimes some of the simplest things in music sometimes really, really work. So thanks for tuning in, guys. And thanks for the love for the Leady kit behind. I'm going to do a little clip on that at some point. As I say, keep messaging, you know, on my Insta and YouTube. It's good to hear from you all and keeping it going. And I'm enjoying the jokes about the jug snare drum, which is here. Keep them coming. It's all good. You know, the fact is that people love the drum, and we get a giggle out of the name as well. So what could be wrong there? As I said before, thank you for liking and subscribing. If you haven't, please do so. Have a great weekend. Keep on drumming. Keep safe. Keep happy. And I shall see you next week for some more videos. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.